Now that the third episode of The Legacy of the First Blade is out, it's time to look ahead to the next story arc that is part of the season pass, the Fate of Atlantis. So while we only have a small bit of footage from the post-launch content trailer, I was able to learn some awesome new details about this 3-episode long story expansion during my interview with Bruno, the live content director. I will share everything I learned about Atlantis in this video, including info on a free quest that will lead us into the DLC. So let's get into it. If you enjoyed that, then a like would be super appreciated, and let's go. One of the last times that I will tell you that I'm doing a giveaway for the Abstergo Elite Gear Pack. Just follow the link in the pinned comment for a chance to win. I will announce the winner one day after my review of the pack. So that's likely March 20th, so you still got time to enter. Just follow the link again in the pinned comment and be sure you are subscribed to the channel as well. Let's immediately talk about one of the things we all want to know, right? When can we play the first episode of the Fate of Atlantis? Well, Ubisoft is aiming to release the first episode at the end of April. Bruno could not go into details regarding a specific date, but I think that the end of April response only leaves 2 dates open. Tuesday, April 23rd, or really the end of April, April 30th. Just like the Legacy of the First Blade, it makes sense that this content launches on a Tuesday, so let's go ahead and say it's April 30th, although I think that April 23rd is not out of the realm of possibilities as well. But yeah, overall the key here is that they're aiming for an end of April release, so it's not 100% confirmed, but over on Twitter we got community developer Vincent confirming that he will indeed go to another studio for the monthly video of April. In March, we of course saw them go to Ubisoft Barcelona to meet the developers behind Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered. So maybe he's now going to film at another studio to focus on the Atlantis DLC. We will have to wait and see. That video will likely drop in the first week or the second week of April. But at the end of April, we will be able to travel to a new area, or actually an exciting new world, as Bruno likes to call it. Must be the Lost City then, right? Bruno continues saying that it will feel very, very unique, probably a bit like the Curse of the Pharaohs. Only this DLC is going to be even greater in terms of shaking things up. So a quick reminder for the Curse of the Pharaohs DLC from Origins. Here we traveled to Thebes and learned about the pharaohs attacking the real world because people stole things from their tombs, and then you had to go into the different afterlives from the 4 different pharaohs and retrieve the artifacts to then face that pharaoh, and then the shadow would not appear in the real world anymore. The fights with these pharaohs were pretty unique and fun, and you got an awesome weapon as a reward for slaying them, but the different afterlives that you got to visit were really the star of this DLC, like the beautiful grain field of Aru and a sort of tropical afterlife called Aten. It was really cool to explore, so happy to hear that the Fate of Atlantis will have its own new exciting world that should feel very unique, so that is great to hear, especially after the Legacy of the First Blade that of course did not have a new area, but had its visit like areas that were already in the main game. We of course already got the gateway to the Lost City in the game right now, and this might very well be the central hub for the DLC. Because there are multiple sort of secret doors that we cannot reach right now, but that might become portals to different areas when the DLC is live. I got reached out by Polarize on Twitter, who shared these potential doors with me that are like higher up right now and unreachable. But we can actually explore 2 rooms already, and there seems to be nothing there at first, but you can actually interact with some pillars there, as noted by Marvel Dutch, who reached out to me as well. And all the interactable pillars have a short message from Aletheia, an Isu who also talks with you after you retrieve all the different artifacts from the mythical creatures. Like, this is one of the messages about how the ancient Greeks wrote about what would later be called mythical beings, but that in this reality some of them are more than mythical. Likely talking about the mythical creatures that we got to kill or maybe are about to face in the Fate of Atlantis. At the end of last year, Ubisoft published an article that interviewed some of the developers that worked on the mythical creatures, and there we got like one paragraph saying that the Fate of Atlantis will dig deeper into the Greek mythology, its connection to the first Sith, and the mysteries of these powerful artifacts. We also got a message about the Staff of Hermes that you get at the end of the Atlantis storyline, saying that it's essentially a staff like any other. its support, a potential weapon, and a symbol of power. So if you are interested and haven't checked them out, then totally do so in the rooms of the gateway to the Lost City. And yes, I already noted the end of the Atlantis storyline, because that is of course interesting to know. What are the requirements for starting the Fate of Atlantis? So you do not have to play the Legacy of the First Blade first, or at all, because the DLCs can be bought separately as well. Overall, Ubisoft is not entirely sure what the requirements are at this moment. Bruno did note that it would be ideal if you understand the Atlantis storyline from the main game, so that you killed all the mythical creatures, retrieved the artifacts, and brought them back to the gateway to the Lost City. So yes, that basically means that you have to be a really high level to be able to beat all these mythical creatures and just overall beat one of the bigger endgame storylines in the game. But of course, they want to make it as accessible as possible as well, so that likely if you haven't finished that main story yet, or aren't high enough level yet, that you can still play it. If you bought the Curse of the Pharaohs DLC or had the Season Pass of Origins, then you got a level boost to level 45, so you could immediately go and travel to Thebes to take on the Pharaohs. It's not weird, they want as much people playing the DLC, so having an insane requirement doesn't help with that. So I would not be surprised if we saw something like that as well, like a boost to level 50 or something. So you can immediately take on these mythical creatures, finish the Atlantis storyline, and then continue with the first episode if you want. Or maybe they even give a boost so you can immediately play the first episode. I think it would even be smart to make like a short video explaining the Atlantis ending again, so even for people like me that finished it more than half a year ago could like refresh their memory. But yeah, no confirmation on that, just me speculating. We only know that having finished the Atlantis main story arc is ideal before you start the first episode, and they are still working on the other requirements as well. We do know something else though, the Heir of Memories trophy that we already see in the additional feats section. Well, thanks to psntrophies.com, we know the icon of this trophy that you will see after you completed the mission. And yes, it's Layla's face. So what does this mean? Well, I asked Bruno about this trophy, and he can indeed confirm that this has something to do with the Atlantis DLC. So what I think is that this mission will continue after the Atlantis main story arc, and then bridge the gap to the Atlantis DLC. Because good to know, and that is what I asked to Bruno as well, is if this mission will be free for everyone. And yes, that is the case. Like, the trophy appeared in the additional feats section, so that already kind of gave it away, but Bruno indeed confirmed that everyone who owns Assassin's Creed Odyssey will be able to play this mission that likely hypes us up for the Fate of Atlantis. And we saw that in Origins as well, a free quest that prepared us for what was to come with the Curse of the Pharaohs, and the Heir of Memories quest will likely do the same. So yes, this then being a modern day style quest makes a ton of sense. I totally expect this one to release like mid-April, something like that, a week or maybe a few weeks before the first episode of Fate of Atlantis. And yes, with Bruno saying that the Fate of Atlantis will reshape things, that this is going to be even greater in terms of shaking things up compared to the Curse of the Pharaohs, it got me really interested. We don't have to wait that long for the first episode, end of April. I expect the trophies to sort of appear like in the coming weeks, and Ubisoft will likely share more about the DLC as well before release, like in the monthly content video of April as already discussed, but also a more general trailer, just like Ubisoft did with the Legacy of the First Blade. That trailer appeared a week before the first episode and showed footage of all the 3 episodes already. I'll of course keep you up to date here, so totally subscribe for everything Assassin's Creed Odyssey if you haven't already. Like the video to support the channel. And yes, we're going of course to Sargon. We were so close the last time, but we almost had the Hades Lieutenant. Let's continue that search right now. You already killed all the mythical creatures, Sargon? Already completed the Atlantis storyline? You're just standing there? Okay. You're never going to Fate of Atlantis, man. You don't really care, I guess. Okay, let's continue with the Olympian gifts. Come on. Come on. What? It doesn't even have a description. This is not... I think this is not the same size as a lieutenant, right? So that's why I thought that this was not going to be it. But, whoa, this is actually pretty nice. Like, 2 legendaries, I think, after each other, right? Pretty nice. Yeah, I did not buy the shark pack yet. But now I have it. Or actually the ship design. Already to prepare me, of course, for the Fate of Atlantis DLC. And the Abstergo gear pack that will launch very soon. This Tuesday, when the weekly reset happens. of course, also kind of prepares us for that modern day story. I will, of course, as always, keep you up to date here on the channel. And I shared some theories about maybe another sort of area we can maybe explore in the Fate of Atlantis DLC. You can check the video out by clicking on the screen. Check out that Abstergo giveaway if you haven't already. And I will speak to you next time. Goodbye.